Hello everyone. Previously we saw how to build a student management system. So today we'll build the simple chat application, right? Let's start. I'll just come here. Let me right click, hover on new and click on Java class. I'll just name this one chat server, right? So let me come here. Just give me a second. Let me come here. So here, let's import some necessary packages, right? Initially, I'll just come here. Let me give import java.io star. We have imported the necessary input-output classes. Next, let's import the necessary networking classes as well. For that one, I'll just give import java.net star. Finally, let's import necessary utility classes, right? For that one, I'll just give java.util.tab. So this is fine. Next, let's make use of the set to store the client handlers. For that one, I'll just come here. Let me make use of private static set I'll just give here. I'll just make use of the client handler. What happened here? Nothing wrong. Let me give client handler. So here, client handlers, new hash set, right? This is fine. Now, let's create the main method to run the server, right? I'll just come here. Let me give public static void main string. So here also let me include throws IO exception. This is one thing. Let me give. So after this one, let's initialize the server socket on port 12345. For that one, what I'll do, I'll just come here. Let me make use of server socket new so this has to be server socket, right? Of let me give 12345. What we have done here, we have initialized server socket on the port 12345. Next, what I'll do, I'll just print. If everything goes right, let's print chat server started. This is the thing. Next, let's make use of the loop to accept the client connections as well, right? For that one, I'll just comment this one and write for the reference. So this will be easy to understand. I'll just give loop to accept client connections. So here, let me make use of the while loop. If it's true, then I'll give socket client socket. Here, let me make use of server socket dot accept. So what we are doing here, we are accepting the client connection, right? Next, let me make use of this out and print this one. New, let's give some message. New client connected. So here, what I'll do, I'll come here. I'll just make use of client socket dot get this INET address. This is fine. Next, let's create a new client handler. So I'll just give client handler. I'll just give client handler new client handler client socket. After creating a new client handler, let's add the client handler to the set. How can we do that? I'll just make use of client handlers. This one, add of individual client handler, right? This one. So we have added the client handler to the set, basically. Then let's start the new thread for each client. In this case, again I'm telling, we are starting a new thread for the each client. How can we do that? I'll just make use of client handler or start. So this is fine. Next, let's create the inner class to handle the each client. I'll just comment this one and write inner class to handle each client. So let me give static class client handler. Let me make use of extends thread, right? So yeah, we give private socket. Let me make use of print writer, buffer reader, as well as the string type for the out, in, and client name, right? I'll just give private. I'll just give, in my case, I'll just make use of print writer for out. Also variable name for the in, I'll just give private buffered reader in. Finally, private string client name. This is fine. Next, let's create the constructor to initialize the client handler with the client socket. This is easy, right? I'll just comment this one and write for the reference purpose. Just for the reference, sorry. Constructor to initialize the client handler with the client socket. So I'll just make use of public client handler. We give socket. I'll just set this one to this dot socket equals socket. This is fine. Next, let's implement the method to handle client communication. Let me comment this one and write for the reference. Method to handle client communication. Public void so here what I'll do, I'll just make use of try block and just set the into new buffered reader new. Let's make use of input stream reader, right? I'll just go with the input stream reader of, let's give socket get input stream. This is fine. What we are doing here, we are making use of the input stream for receiving the messages basically, right? So for that purpose, I have missed a semicolon here, sorry. Again, I'm telling what we are doing here. We are making use of the input stream for receiving the messages. So this is fine. What happened here? Unhanded exception, inspection, add catch clause. So for now, this is fine. Let's see this later. Make use of out. Let me set this one to new print writer socket. Let's make use of the output stream, right? Then let me set this one to what we have done here. We have made use of the output stream for sending messages. Basically, these two lines, I'll just tell this one. The second line, we are making use of output stream for sending messages. The first line, we are making use of input stream for receiving the messages. So after this, let's read the client's name as well, right? So whenever we connect to the server and when we start to chat, right, we should be able to read the client's name as well. That we'll do here. Here, let me give read client's name. I'll just give client name dot read line. This is fine. And after connecting, let me print the client name. Also, let's concatenate has. Let me leave the space, has joined the. So this looks good, right? Yeah, this is fine. Also, let's notify all the clients about the new client. If someone is chatting, right? The first person is chatting. If the another client has joined the chat, then we should be able to notify all the clients about the new client who has joined the chat. For that purpose, what I'll do, I'll just give broadcast message client name, then concatenate has joined the. This is fine. This looks good till now. Next, I'll just make use of the variable name message of string data type. I will make this one capital, right? This is fine. What happened to this one? Broadcast message M has to be capital here. What's the error? Cannot resolve method broadcast method. This is fine for now. Let's see this later, right? Next, let's make use of the loop to read the messages from the client. How can we do that? I'll just make use of the while loop. Let me give message and dot read line. If this is not equal to null, then let's print the message to server console. I'll just make use of sout. Sorry, let me make use of sout. Let me give client name also. Let's concatenate the message as well. So this is fine. We are just printing the message to the server console, right? I'll just make use of not sout basically. Let's make use of broadcast message, this one, client name. So I'll just copy this one till here. Let me paste it over here. Client name plus Let's concatenate this one. Also, let's concatenate the message as well, right? This looks good. Next, let me make use of the catch block to catch the error, right? I'll just give IO input output exception. Let's handle the exception. I'll just give dot print stack trace. This one. This is fine. Let's make use of finally as well. Inside the finally, I'll just make use of try. Let's close the socket connection. How can we do that? I'll just make use of socket dot close. This one. After this, let me make use of catch block as well. Let me give input output exception. So here, this is one thing. Let's do the same thing. I'll just give print tag trace. This is fine. Next, after this, let's remove the client handler from the set. How can we do that? I'll just make use of client name basically. Why this is not showing? Client. It has to be client handlers. Handlers. Remove of this. So what we are doing here, we are removing this client handler from the set. Then let me make use of sout and print the client name. So not inside the string. Client name along with has left the chat. So I'll just leave space here so it looks good. Right? This is fine. Then what I'll do, let's notify all clients that this client has left. For that one, I'll just give broadcast message client name as left the chat. What we have done here, we have notified all the clients that this client has left the chat, right? So this is fine until here. Next, let's implement the method to broadcast a message to all the clients. I'll just comment this one and write method to broadcast message to all clients. How can we do that? Let me give private void broadcast message string message of string data type, right? We just give message. Here, let's synchronize access to the client handlers set. So how can we do that? I'll just give synchronized client handler, this one. What we have done here, we are synchronizing access to the client handler set. Next, let's loop through each client handler. I'll just make use of for loop for this. Let me give client handler. Why this is not showing client handler basically? Somewhere. Let's see. I'll just give client handler of client handlers. After looping through each client handler, let's send the message to the client, right? For that one, I'll just make use of handler dot out println. I'll just give of message. So this is fine. This is fine, right? I'll just have done spelling mistake here. Just give me a second. Correct this. Let me give Control A, Control Alt and L. Let's format the code, right? This is looking good now. And what I'll do, this looks good. There are some errors. Let's check. Let's run the code. So here we are getting cannot find the symbol class client handler. So I'll just click here. Let's check. So this is saying cannot find the symbol class client handler, right? So, oh yeah, this has to be capital C. So now you can see this looks good, right? So I think this looks good. Let's run the code again. Let's wait for some time. So yeah, this is working correctly. Chat server started, we are getting. So basically now the server side code is working correctly. Let's create the, let's start writing the client side code, right? So I'll just minimize this one. Let me come here. Let me hover on new and click on Java class. Let me name this one. Just give me a second. Let me name this one chat client, right? So here, let me come here. Let's import the necessary input output classes as well as necessary network classes. So I'll just give import Java IO. So this is for importing the necessary input output classes. Now let's import the necessary networking classes. I'll just give import dot yeah, now this is fine, right? So I'll just come here. Let me give public. Let's create the public class chat client. Sorry, we have already created, right? Why am I typing this one? This is fine. Inside this one, let me give private socket. So private, this is capital B, right? This has to show print writer for the out as well as private buffered reader and finally private. Again, I'll just make use of buffered reader for standard in. So this is fine. Next, let's create the constructor to initialize the client with server address as well as the port. For the reference purpose, I'll just comment this one and write constructor to initialize the client with the server address port. So I'll just come here. Let me give public chat client server address of string data type, also the port of integer type, right? This is fine. Let me make use of throws. Input output exception. So here, what is wrong here? Chat client invalid method declaration return type. This is fine for now. So I'll just make this one capital C. Yeah, this is fine now. Next, let's connect to the server. I'll just give socket, new socket of, let's make use of server address as well as port. What we are doing here, we are connecting to the server. Next, after connecting to the server, let's make use of the output stream for sending messages. We had seen this one in the chat server file as well, right? So I'll just give out equals will. I'll just, hey, this is not, yeah, print writer socket get output stream. Let's give true here. So we are making use of the output stream for sending messages, right? So I'll just give semicolon. Let me come here. Next, let's make use of the input stream for receiving the messages. Basically, we had made use of output stream in the previous line for sending the messages. Now we'll be making use of input stream for receiving the messages. So I'll just give in new buffered reader. I'll just go with input stream reader, make it socket, get input stream. So this is fine. Then finally, after making use of the input stream for receiving messages, let's make use of the input stream for the user input as well. So I'll just give this one, right, and an input. Here, I'll just copy this one itself. Let me paste it over here. New buffered reader. Sorry, capital I. Yeah, input stream reader. I'll just make use of system.in, right? This one. In this line, we are just making use of the input stream for the user input. Next, after if everything goes right, then we'll print connected to the chat server. For that one, I'll just make use of sout. Let me give within the strings, I'll give connected to chat server. This looks good till now. Next, what we'll do, let's start a thread to read the messages from the server. Basically, we have to read the messages from the server, right? From each client. For that one, let's start a thread to read the messages from the server. I'll just give new. Let's make use of thread. New. So read. I'll just give m. What's wrong here? Read messages is fine. Start. This is fine. Next, I'll just make use of the variable name user input of string type. Let me give here capital I. This is fine. After that, let's print enter your name. Initially, we're displaying the client name, right? Whoever joins the chat, we have to give the name, right? For that one, let's give enter your name. Let me make this the E capital so that this looks good. Next, let's send the user, basically user's name to the server. For that one, I'll just make use of out println std in. We have made use of, right? This is fine. Read line, this one. What we are doing here, we are sending the user's name to the server. Until here, everything looks good. Next, what shall we do? Let's loop to read the user input and send it to the server. Just for the reference, I'll just comment this one and try it. Loop to read user input and send it to the server. So basically, I'll just make use of while loop. Here, let me give user input. String, let's make use of read line. So this is fine until here. If it is not equal to null, so yeah, let's send the message to the server. So basically, if the user input and the line is, if it is not equal to the null, right? Now, if you have given some name, then we'll send the message to the server. So for that one, I'll just give out println of whatever the input is given by the user, nothing but user input. So this is fine. Till now, everything looks good. Next, let's make use of the inner class to handle the reading messages from the server. For the reference, I'll just comment this one and write inner class to handle reading messages from the server. This is fine. I'll just give private class read messages. Just give me a second. Yeah. Just keep implements runnable. So in this case, let me give public void run. So yeah, string let me give server message. Just make use of the server message variable name of the string data type, right? So this looks good. Next, let me make use of the try and catch log. So inside the try, what I'll do, let's make use of the loop to read the messages from the server. In my case, I'll just make use of the while loop and give server message, right? Server message read line. So if this is not equal to null, then let me give out server message. This is fine. We are just printing the messages from the server here. This is fine. Next, let's make use of catch to catch the errors, right? In my case, I'll just give input output exception. Let me give print tag trace, the first one, where we are just handling the exceptions here. This looks good till here. Next, finally, let's implement the main method to run the client. We have to, right? I'll just comment this one and write main method to run the client. For that, I'll just come here, public static void main string args. In my case, I'll just make use of throws, input output exception. Let me give new chat client. Let's connect to the local server at the port 12345. If you remember, we have given somewhere here 12345, right? We have made use of the port 12345. So here, what shall we do? Let's connect to the local server at port 12345. I'll just keep 127.0.0.1 here. The port, I'll just give 12345. This is fine. I missed the semicolon, I think. Yeah, this is fine. This looks good, right? Any mistake or any this thing? This looks good. Let's run the code. So here it is asking enter your name, right? So just give me a second. I'll just make this one capital E so that this looks good. Let's wait. Let's wait for some time. Yeah, here now this is asking to enter the name. I'll just give Bharadwaj 1 in my case. So Bharadwaj 1 has joined the chat. You can see here, this is showing Bharadwaj 1 has joined the chat. Let's type the message, hi, how are you? So Bharadwaj 1, hi, how are you? This is showing. So we have connected only one client, right? We can connect the multiple client as well. So what I'll do, I'll just come here. Let me hover on new and give chat client. So come here. Let me come here and copy the entire code. So let me paste it over here. I'll just change the name to from chat client to chat client to here also. I'll just change the name from chat client to chat client 2. So now let's run this code as well, right? Let's wait for some time. Now you can see here it is asking to enter the name. I'll just give Bharadwaj 2 in my case. So Bharadwaj 2 has joined the chat. I'll just come here for the first client. Here, see, Bharadwaj 1, hi, how are you? Now this is showing Bharadwaj 2 has joined the chat. This looks good, right? I'll just come here, chat client 2. Let me enter something. Hi, Bharadwaj 1. How are you? Sorry. How are? Just press enter. This is showing, hi Bharadwaj 1, how are you? I'll just come here. You can see, hi, how are you? Hi Bharadwaj 1, how are you? This is saying. I'll just reply, I'm fine. Let me come here. So I'll just press enter. This is showing, I am fine. I'll just come to chat client 2. This is showing, I am fine, right? So this is working completely. This is working correctly, right? Even the server. So yeah, this is working correctly, right? This is it. Thanks for watching, guys.